Hello and welcome to the Undead Gaming News Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things gaming. I'm your host, Zombie, and joining me is my co-host, Litchi.
Hello!
Our first story this week comes from Razer, as they are looking for new beta testers for their RGB face masks. Razer has named this mask the Razer Zephyr. They announced the mask at the start of the year as their response to the COVID pandemic, saying it will allow gamers to lip read and view facial cues, whilst protecting themselves. Representatives remarked at the time that the company were preparing for the new normal, which may involve wearing masks in crowded spaces such as gaming conventions and tournaments. The Razer website has a sign-up form that allows fans to become beta testers for the new technology, which has undergone substantial aesthetic changes since its reveal. The mask has a N95 medical-grade respirator and will come with a detachable and rechargeable active ventilator and airflow regulator. The mask has also been tested for bacterial filtration efficiency, managing to filter at least 95% of airborne particles. What are your thoughts on that?
I like the sense of, obviously, you've been able to read facial cues while protecting yourself, rather than, because it makes it harder when you're wearing a mask. But I think by this point, it's currently on the decline, so it could have probably come out a bit earlier.
Well, they had to have time to actually make it.
Yeah.
And perfect it.
So I guess we're ready for next time.
Well, gaming conventions so far have been digital, so maybe using these masks will allow them to actually host them properly again.
Yeah. How much are they?
I don't believe they've set a price yet. At the minute, they're just looking for beta testers, which you can sign up for on their website. So, also in the news is Microsoft testing a new Xbox Night Mode. The new update will allow Xbox owners to dim their screens, adjust LED brightness of their controllers, and even dim the power button itself. The series of customization options include different dim levels, as well as an optimal blue light filter being available. Alongside the lighting options, it will also be possible to switch to System's Dark Mode and disable HDR whenever night mode is active.
Why was this not, in it at release?
I don't know. I thought that when I was reading it myself, because it's been a thing for PlayStation for a long time. You could always dim the brightness of the controllers on the PlayStation 4, for example.
You could, yeah. I don't think...
And you can with the PS5.
Yeah, it even has screen dimming.
Yes.
So why is this...
Xbox is a bit late to the game with it, for some reason.
But the thing is, their PC operating system, Windows, has night mode and has done for years.
Yeah.
So you'd think they would have implemented that to Xbox ages ago.
Yeah. I always thought that it was already a thing for Xbox, but apparently it's not. Now it is. Personally, I've never owned an Xbox, so I didn't know, but I just assumed, because, as you said, Windows has it, and obviously the PlayStation has it, so I figured it was a no-brainer.
So now you can play your Xbox into the small hours and still be able to get to sleep.
Also in the news are Take-Two, as they are apparently working on 3 remasters or remakes. The titles are currently unannounced, but the company has said in an investor presentation, they said they are working on 3 titles that are iterations of previously released titles. There is speculation surrounding this for it being a remaster or a remake of Grand Theft Auto 3, which would coincide with them taking down mods and stuff for it before, but it's not confirmed, obviously. We don't know what they're making yet. What do you think about it?
Well, yeah, they should make a remaster GTA 3, but obviously, based on their convoluted universes, what universe would that then be in? Would it still be in the 3D universe, or would you have Grand Theft Auto 3 in the HD universe that they're currently working on? Would it be in the same universe as, obviously, would it remain in the 3D universe with games like Vice City and San Andreas and obviously its original counterpart, or would it actually be updated so that it would be based in the same Liberty City as Grand Theft Auto 4?
I've got no idea. I didn't think that their universe was that complicated.
Yep. I think there's at least 3 different universes in Grand Theft Auto, solely defined by, now we can go 3D, so now we've got another universe. And then when they were able to do HD, when they did Grand Theft Auto 4, now it's a completely new universe. So you got 3 Vice City, San Andreas, and they're 2 spin-off titles for Vice City Stories and Liberty City Stories. That's your 3D universe. Then you got Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto episodes from Liberty City, and Grand Theft Auto 5 Online is the HD universe.
Okay. I don't know why they can't just have a single universe for the series, but okay.
I don't know, that's the reason they can't bring characters from like Grand Theft Auto 3 and San Andreas and stuff back into the modern games, because they're in a different universe. There is no Carl Johnson in the current universe, so that's why you can't have him in Grand Theft Auto 5, because he's from an alternate universe. So if in the remake they remake it in the HD universe, now that would mean you'd be able to have characters like Claude Speed or Carl Johnson in the more modern games. But knowing Rockstar, they'd just kill them off within the first hour anyway.
Yeah. What games do you think they'll be doing out of these three?
What are the three? I mean, San Andreas is a fan favourite, so they've definitely got to do that one. They're still clamouring for a Bully 2, so they might remaster, obviously, the first Bullies. That one will be easier to do, because there's not multiple different universes. It's just that one universe for that one game. Be easier to remaster. I can't think of any actual Take-Two ones that are actually in need of remaster, because all I can think of is obviously you've got the sports games, which are basically, as far as I'm aware, basically the same thing each time. And you've got, obviously, and then there are two series of Mafia, which they already did, because they obviously brought out the Mafia Definitive Edition, which, good game. Obviously, like, the original's really old, so it doesn't hold up, so the new one looks great. And then you play they didn't remaster the second one, so that actually looks lower quality than the first one, which is a bit naff. But then obviously they've also got BioShock, which they already remastered. I can't think of any other 2K games that would need remastering. So I can only focus more on the Rockstar games, is that you could do Bully, you could do a remaster of Red Dead Revolver, you could do the Midnight Club. They've killed off that franchise, they could bring that back. They could remaster Warriors. Or the Manhunt games. They could be remastered. They got plenty of stuff that could be remastered, and people would happily buy the updated versions of these games.
I don't think they'll go with Manhunt, though, considering that had a bit of controversy when that came out.
Oh, so did Grand Theft Auto. So did Bully. Solely because it was called Bully.
Well, it wasn't called Bully here, so...
Yeah, that's because of the controversy, they changed the name in the UK to Candice Candamedit. Don't quote me on this, I think it means like dog eat dog or something. I think it's that kind of mentality. Like, it's a dog eat dog's world. I don't know.
Was the controversy with that based on them assuming that it's promoting bullying or something?
Yep.
If anything, it's the opposite.
Yep.
But also in the news, we have a new South Park game in the pipeline, as the creators of South Park, Matt and Trey, have signed a $900 million deal with Viacom, which will pay for 6 years' worth of projects. One of the projects that they're planning to invest money into is a new South Park game. This time it'll be 3D, and developed internally by an in-house studio rather than a collaboration with Ubisoft, just like the previous titles, Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole were. It's also been described as a set-in-the-world of South Park type of game, which the other two weren't, so not quite sure what that means.
I'm gonna go with maybe it's more open world.
Well, I mean, the other two were open world. You could go all the way around the entire town.
I don't know, maybe other people living their lives as you do stuff. Like, maybe if you go here at this certain point, this is happening. But if you go there at a later point, this is no longer there. I don't know. Maybe it's similar. It works like on some of their episodes, they have like a Stan episode and a Kyle episode, and they're all supposed to have happened basically at the same time. So maybe there's multiple stories going on at the same time in the game. So you pick and choose which parts of which stories, obviously, you're playing in. So maybe you can choose, do I want to help Kyle with this, or do I want to help Stan with this? And then maybe, I don't know, something like that. I'm spitballing.
I mean, I'm going to give it a try anyway when it eventually comes out, because it's a South Park game. But I'm not sure about the whole 3D thing, because I quite like the way it was with the other two. I thought it fit the style quite well.
Yeah, 3D doesn't really suit South Park, because even now, South Park is not 3D, it's a 2D cartoon. So changing that into 3D just doesn't look right.
Yeah, it is a bit risky to do this, but we'll see how it turns out before we make judgments. We don't obviously have a release date for it, because it's only just been confirmed to even be started working on, so...
Yep.
We're a long way away from a release date yet. In other news, though, we have a game that was cancelled a long time ago. That's recently had a cinematic been released for it. It's a Duke Nukem prequel. In 2008, a studio called Genimation were hired to make a cinematic demonstrating Duke Nukem Begins, which was the name of the game, and that was before the game was put on hold and eventually cancelled due to a legal dispute over the character. The director of the cinematic has decided to upload the entire thing recently in the hopes that it will resurrect the version of the game, as it's still a piece that he's proud of. Considering how fans reacted to the last Duke Nukem game, I'm not sure they really want a prequel.
Yeah, it's a risky business pulling out Duke Nukem, because obviously it was in development hell for years, and then it came out and it was a steaming pile of, and yeah, it just wasn't very well received. Whereas obviously, if they can, I'm not saying, oh, it's Duke Nukem, it will be shit. They can bring it back. It's not the first game franchise that has had a not very good game come out, and then they've revived it following.
Yeah, he's hoping that obviously that project will be revived after seeing with the trailer that he's put out. But do people really want it is the question.
I don't know, I mean, Duke Nukem's more like he's like the 80s action hero, which isn't really popular, because we're not in the 80s.
No, probably would have been fine a few years ago, but now it's just a bit outdated.
Yeah, you'd have to update Duke Nukem to the ideals of modern society, and because he definitely would not fit in with modern society's ideals.
Yeah, but if you did that, then it wouldn't be Duke Nukem anymore. It'd be a completely different person.
Exactly, that's the thing. You've either got to have the game's either got to be not Duke Nukem, or it will get ripped into for being misogynist.
And since it's a prequel, obviously, it's going to have to show how he became who he was in the other games, so you can't have a more modern version of him back then. So
this is him before he became a misogynist.
But another cancelled game was a Power Rangers game. It was initially pitched as Project Nomad, and the concept was pitched in 2016. It would have been an open-world co-op game that was inspired by the Arkham series. It was essentially Gotham Knights 5 years before that was announced, just obviously in the Power Rangers universe. Early talks with devs and publishers was favourable towards the game. However, there was so much circulating throughout the studio at the time that there was no bandwidth or budget to support the idea as it was. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Might have been a fun game. Oddly enough, I never actually watched Power Rangers much, so I couldn't tell you, like, if a game set in that universe would be any good. Definitely not the expert on the subject. But yeah, it sounds like it could have been a fun game. You could play with your friends.
I mean, I probably would have given it a go if it was released, because obviously I'm interested in Gotham Knights when that eventually comes out. And since it's basically the same but in Power Rangers universe, I don't see the problem with trying that one out as well. I didn't really watch Power Rangers, but I'm sure I could still enjoy the game anyway. There'll obviously be a lot of references and nuances to people who have actually watched the show as well. So, but unfortunately that game's not going to come out. But if you're looking for a game that has come out and is on the PlayStation Store, then we have I Am Dead on the PS4 and PS5 that came out on the 9th. On the 10th we had Action Arcade Wrestling on the PS4, Arashi Castles of Sin on the PS4, Black Book on the PS4, Button City on the PS5, Godfall on the PS4, Super Hiking League DX on the PS4, Synth Riders on the PS4, and then on the 11th we had Space Intervention on the PS4, and then on the 12th we had Assassin's Creed Siege of Paris DLC for the PS4 and PS5. On the 13th we had Hades for the PS5 and PS4. Do any of those games take your interest?
I thought Godfall was already on the PS4, but apparently not. And I don't know what the other ones even are to be able to say whether I was interested in them. Obviously, Assassin's Creed Siege of Paris. I was talking to someone yesterday about it. Apparently, it's returned to their original formula of how Assassin's Creed used to be. Because obviously, it's turned more into an RPG than a stealth-based game. Apparently, Siege of Paris is very reminiscent of older titles. You sneaking across rooftops, assassinate your targets, crap like that. But I've not even finished the base game for Valhalla, never mind the DLCs.
I've not started the base game, but yeah, I do know that Godfall was originally a PS5 exclusive, but I think they weren't getting enough sales on there, so that's why they've moved it to PS4 as well, to obviously expand the audience that they can get.
Is I Am Dead a sequel to I Am Alive?
No. I Am Dead is a puzzle adventure that's an indie game. It's developed by a British indie video game developer, Hollow Ponds. If you're looking for a free game this week, however, if you head on over to the Epic Games Store, you can claim Rebel Galaxy from the 12th. We're only getting one game on there this week for some reason. They seem to have a mix-up last week because they switched out a game for Minute, which I think they've already given away before, because that was already in my library when I went to go claim it. And I've never bought anything on there, so I think they already gave that one away before. And then this week they're only giving away one instead of two, so there's obviously some issues going on there. Also in the news is Splitgate, as their beta has become one of the most played games on Steam. After a name change, a new beta, and popularity with streamers, Splitgate has soared up the Steam ranks for the highest concurrent players on the platform over the weekend. Originally launching in 2019 as Splitgate Arena Warfare, since its launch they've improved queue times, resulting in an estimated queue time of 5 minutes. Any thoughts?
I don't know, I've never heard of Splitgate. Looks to be some kind of sci-fi game.
Splitgate is a free-to-play multiplayer first-person shooter developed and published by 1047 Games. It's a bit of a sci-fi shooter by the looks of it.
Do they have a battle royale? A battle royale's still cool.
They was never cool. They were just popular with young people. But it's kind of a dead thing now.
So, streamers have revived yet another game?
Yeah, basically. After they changed the name slightly and put it into a different beta phase, streamers picked it up and then everyone else wanted to go play it too. So it quickly rose up the ranks for the highest concurrent players on the platform over the weekend.
I don't know. I don't believe I've seen anyone playing Splitgate. So obviously I'm watching the wrong streamers. They ain't playing what's like hot at the minute.
Also in the news is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, as it has finally been given an upgrade for the Xbox Series X and S. It's been given DXR ray tracing, shadow maps for world geometry, including on foliage, improved texture filtering. The Series X can now have 4K, while the Series S is remaining at 1080p.
Hellblade's a good game. And if you happen to have the new platforms, I guess play it in a bit better. But maybe I want a Hellblade 2.
Well, it's on the way.
Give me Hellblade 2.
I don't know when it's on the way, but it's on the way.
I've not even finished the first one. Obviously, I started it, and there's too many games that come out. I don't have time to finish them all. But from what I have played, yeah, it's a decent game. Definitely worth getting on your new gen console.
I don't think I've heard anything bad about the game, to be fair. Never played it myself, though.
Oh, I have. Don't play it if you actually have like schizophrenia or stuff like that, because it might trigger an episode.
Well, that's more of a warning rather than a bad thing about the game. Just like, obviously, when the console boots up, it gives you a warning of photosensitive epilepsy.
Consult your doctor before playing this game, because anyone ever does that. It always says, like, consult your doctor before you obviously play the console.
Yeah, but that's just to protect them in legal battle, isn't it?
I don't think anyone ever actually does just, like, consult the doctor. Can I play on my PlayStation? What are you calling me for? Yes, sure, whatever.
I mean, you'd need to give the doctor a lot more information than that, but as far as Hellblade goes, from what I've heard, it's a very realistic representation of schizophrenia, which is why it can obviously trigger an episode for someone who has it.
I mean, it's similar to schizophrenia, but I think it's psychosis.
I just know that you've got two voices in your head the entire time, and apparently it's very immersive.
Yeah.
Never played it myself, so I can't really speak much on it.
No, about, it's so realistic, like having obviously the voices in her head, but quite a lot of games I have there's voices playing into my ears, so it's not exactly any different to me. It's just normally the voices are talking to your character rather than about your character.
Yeah, but doesn't it also make use of binaural audio as well to really give you a bit more immersion?
Yeah.
Also in the news we have Abandoned again, as their app had a failed launch. The app that was supposed to be released on the 10th had a technical issue, and as of recording has still yet to be released. The app was supposed to give us a real first look at what exactly the game is, but on Twitter, Blue Box Game Studios said, "We are still working to resolve the issue we are facing. We want to remind you that we are a small studio without wide resources to quickly resolve an issue. We want to deliver a highly polished product and a good representation of the game that functions as intended." Obviously people weren't very happy about that, but they have to suck it up at the end of the day. If it's not working right, it's not working right. They'll fix it, get it out, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I am intrigued to see a bit more about the game though. Interested to see exactly what it is.
Just trees, more trees. All the trees everywhere.
Well, I don't know. In that tweet, we did see a couple of seconds of a guy's foot walking through a bit of puddle on the floor. So, we never know.
Walking through the wood simulator.
Well, it looked like it was a bit more concrete on that floor, so it's not really the woods.
Dunno.
People are obviously speculating that it has something to do with Hideo Kojima, because he was also looking forward to the launch of the app. So they think he's somehow tied to them, and they think it might be something to do with Silent Hill for some reason. But that's obviously just speculation.
Could be, or he could just be interested in video games.
Yeah, that's my take. I think he's just interested to see what it is as well, because he obviously likes mystery around games as well, because he does that with his games. So, since another company's doing that with their game, maybe he just likes the fact they're doing that and wants to see more. Doesn't mean he has out to do with it. But that's just my opinion. In other news though, we have Cookie Clicker. That's apparently coming to Steam on September the 2nd. The popular web browsing game that basically runs itself will now be available on Steam on September the 2nd. Never played it myself because there's no point to it, in my opinion, but I guess you can get some Steam achievements from it if that's something you're into.
Yeah, free Steam achievements. Easy Steam achievements, just let it just start it up and then come back every so often to collect your profits, upgrade your stuff, and leave again.
Well, you have to spend a bit of time in it at the beginning. From my understanding, I think you have to click the cookie a certain amount of times before you're able to have something that automatically clicks it.
Yeah.
So then once you've got that, you can go do whatever you want and then upgrade it so it's faster.
There's a full tag for that genre of games they're called idlers. There's a big long list of them where it's just literally the game plays itself.
Yeah, well...
Obviously, Cookie Clicker being a really well-known one, because generally idle games are referred to as, like, Cookie Clicker games. But yeah, have you never played any of those games?
I mean, I think the only game like that I've played was My Name is Mayo. Platinumed it in 45 minutes. Easy platinum to get, obviously. But that was just because I was annoyed that I completed the Warriors 100% and didn't get a platinum for it. I just felt like I was getting an easy platinum after that.
I've just played. I played Adventure Capitalist, which basically is Cookie Clicker, but obviously you open different businesses, you earn money, use that money to upgrade your businesses to make more money, and so on and so forth. There's never really an end point.
Yeah.
It just gets to a point where you go on there and you can upgrade slightly, and then it takes you leave for a month, and you come back and you can still only upgrade a little bit. So you just need more and more money to be able to then make more and more money to be able to actually just buy everything. And then it's something you can obviously I can have playing in the background, but it's not exactly very immersive. I can really get into this game.
The way I see those games is it's an endless cycle of pointlessness.
Just something to pass the time.
Well, it passes the time without you being there, so there's no real engagement with those games. I prefer games that are a lot more immersive and engaging. But that's just my personal preference.
I don't mind. Some games actually have the mini games of the Cookie Clicker thing, so obviously it's building resources which is basically similar to how strategy games work. You buy this thing, it builds these resources, so you got more resources to build this other thing, or upgrade that thing. But there is more to do in the strategy game. There is generally an objective other than just making a bigger number.
Yeah.
But they even have that in some other games, with World of Warcraft. Since Warlords of Draenor, they've always been this like a Facebook game, which is this game basically you send them off, it does the mission by itself, while obviously you can go and play the game, just the normal game, while this is happening in the background. And then you also had resource management, it would slowly accrue garrison resources which you could use to upgrade your buildings to actually get things you can actually use in the main game. Well, some of them are more useful than others. There's not really a use to maximising the armory, so then you get the best armour and stuff, because it's just cosmetic. It's just if you want to make your character look pretty, but doesn't give you a gameplay advantage. Or there's a stable. You can rear different mounts so that you have a different mount you can ride. It's basically cosmetic. But then there are also other buildings that are based around the professions, which will generate profession materials, so you can work on your professions literally at your garrison. obviously they've changed this formula over the expansions, but kept the same kind of it working in the background. This thing is accruing resources in the background. You come home, you spend that, and so on and so forth, and it helps you progress in the base game, because I don't have to hunt for materials. I can have people in the background getting me the materials, and I can just show up and go, craft my stuff, and leave again.
Well, that's not that bad, because obviously you're able to actually go play the game as well, so you can still do something in the game.
Yeah, I'm saying, if they're going to do obviously an idle game, I prefer it inside of other games, so it's working in the background.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be a case of you have to have this system running in the background. You have to optimize your the idle process. You shouldn't have to optimize it, but it should still be an option you can use. Just not to gain like actual currency, possibly. Like obviously, like gathering resources. Yes, you have like I think in some MMOs you can have retainers and you can send them, find me this amount of these resources, so you don't have to go hunting for the resources. And so it's like it'll take like half an hour, so you can come back in half an hour and it's there. I could also just play for a few hours and then obviously come and go, there's the half-hour thing, but obviously ideally you want to be coming back every half an hour to get the most resources, but I don't have to. It's just the most efficient.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of games that have that kind of system in them, where you just send people off to go do stuff while you do whatever you want in the game.
Yeah.
I'm just obviously not a fan of idle clickers, where you just set it up to do what it wants and then you do whatever you want in the real world. I don't see the point. Like, even with My Name is Mayo, you don't leave the game. You can't really leave the game if you want to get the platinum or finish it. Well, I mean, technically there's no finish, but the platinum was my finish. You can upgrade your click to do more clicks per second, but you can't have it doing it automatically, like with the other games. So you have to actually play the game yourself.
And I would say then the other clickers are definitely then better, because they can accrue the clicks while you don't have to sit there and literally click the same thing over and over again, like 1,000,000 times.
But then it's not a game.
What's the point in sitting there and clicking the same button about 1,000,000 times?
What's the point in it? Well, it's at the very least a bit more engaging than I'll set this up to do its job and then I'll leave. Because there's no game there, that's pointless.
I don't know, I think after I've clicked the same button multiple times for a few minutes, I'm now bored. I don't want to have to click that button over and over and over again until...
Well, yeah, but that is what those games are. Except My Name is Mayo just makes you actually do it yourself, rather than letting it run in the background while you do something else in the real world. It's actually a game, kind of. It was very boring to do, but it was an easy platinum nonetheless. But also in the news we have a new patch for Escape from Tarkov. It's patch 12.11.2, and this update brings a change to earning scav karma. It can now be earned every time you successfully extract from raids, making improving your standing with the fence a lot easier. There is now also an additional reward for earning maximum reputation with the fence, as there will be a 30% discount on all items bought from the fence. There will also be new quests for high-level players, allowing for more endgame content.
I've never played Escape from Tarkov, but no, I guess put it in the hours, yeah, fine. Give the reward, obviously the 30% discount with the fence. But I'm also aware that apparently the fence is not very specific with his items. Like, you don't know what you're buying anyway.
Well, I wouldn't know. I've not played the game before. Not really seen anything on the game either. But adding extra quests and stuff for high-level players that have beat the game or whatever, that sounds like a good addition. Give people more stuff to do.
Although I thought it was kind of like a Battle Royale mode.
Maybe they had one, I don't know. Also in the news we have Amiga 500. Commodore's classic Amiga 500 computer is getting a miniature console remake. Retro Games, who also created the Commodore 64 Mini, have created the A500 Mini and is due to hit shelves in early 2022. It'll cost around $140 or £120, and it comes with a remake of the 2-button mouse and an 8-button gamepad. While the console has a decorative keyboard, you will need to plug in an actual keyboard of your own for functionality. It also comes preloaded with 25 games. Only 12 of the games have been announced so far, but they are as follows: Alien Breed 3D, Another World, All-Terrain Racing, Battle Chess, Cadaver, Kickoff 2, Pinball Dreams, Simon the Sorcerer, Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe, The Chaos Engine, Worms the Director Cut, Zool Ninja the Nth Dimension. What do you think of this whole idea?
I mean, it's not personally my cup of tea, but I do know some people who exclusively only play like really old titles. Like they like their arcade kind of games. That's the kind of games they play. So it's fitting. It's be fitting for that demographic. But what I do think is why does it have a decorative keyboard if it's not functional? What's the point?
To match the old aesthetic with the actual computer.
Then couldn't they have just put a working keyboard on it like the old computer?
Well, it would probably be too small to actually be properly useful anyway.
Yes, because no one can use keyboards on phones, right?
But it won't be the same.
I don't know. The original had a working keyboard. This should definitely have a working keyboard.
Well, it is what it is. It does seem to be a common trend, though, remaking old stuff. Like, obviously they've done the 64 Mini before, and Sony made the PlayStation Classic as well.
Yep.
Which was obviously a remake of the original PlayStation, just a miniature version.
Yeah, there was the trend of everyone being like hipsters and they want in their old stuff, like obviously your vinyls, your old consoles, stuff like that. But as far as I'm aware, that trend's over now, is it not?
Well, vinyls are still pretty popular, and I'm sure with a certain group of people this will be popular as well. Because I'm pretty sure there's people who like to collect these kind of things and just have them on show, really.
And obviously, like I said, there are people who exclusively only play these old titles anyway.
Of course, yeah.
So maybe get more of the older generation into playing games, because I noticed they somehow quite often they struggle with newer games, but they do better with older titles. But I mean, I don't personally think that there's that much of like. Look at the controller for the Amiga 500. Does it look too different to how a current console's controller works? Obviously, it's a different shape, obviously, but it's basically similar buttons. So I don't understand the difficulty.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's about the buttons, though. I think it's more about the speed of the game and how much tutorial there is, because these days you don't tend to have much tutorial in most games, because the devs are pretty fine with doing minimal tutorials, because they understand that most people have played those kind of games before, so they already know what to do.
Well, that kind of goes against the fact that there was a trend that people complaining they don't want tutorials in games, because back in the old days, you didn't have tutorials in the old titles. No tutorials. You just got in and you had to figure it out.
But you did, though. I mean, if you take Spyro, for example, that's an old game. If you look at the original Spyro, there's a lot of hand-holding in that.
Not as old as some of these. Like some of the... I believe I've played Simon the Sorcerer, or Simon the Sorcerer 2 or something. I think I played that. I don't think there was a tutorial. Another old title that I had, that I started multiple times and never really got very far, was Might and Magic 7. I had to have like a really ancient computer to even run it, because more modern hardware doesn't like stuff like that, so it doesn't run it as well. But yeah, I used to play that. No tutorial, you just dropped in on the island. Now you figure out what you got to do. I couldn't really figure out what I could do. It would just keep probably dying to what's probably like the most basic enemies, because that's all I could find with these most basic enemies, and sometimes obviously they die, and then eventually you get to a point where you run out of potions, and then your team just ends up dying off, because there's like an infinite swarm of like these giant wasps. I did, I think, one time find a dragon's cave, but common sense says don't walk into the dragon's cave, considering I'm a noob party, and yes, I know that the prize is, I think you've got to steal the dragon's gold or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found a cave that was clearly a dragon's cave, but there is no way I am going in there as a noob party. I need some way to find better gear and make my people stronger before I'm going to even try and take on a dragon. But to do that, I have to fight my way through an endless swarm of these wasps, or I'll maybe find. The most I find is like maybe I'll find some leather jerkins or a bit of chainmail. It's like this basic stuff is all I could find, because if I venture too far from the village, I just have this endless swarm of wasps.
Well, I also seem to remember in the really old titles you would also have manuals in the cases that have tons of tutorial in them as well.
Yeah.
Help pages and that kind of stuff, which we don't get these days.
No, we don't.
We just get adverts for other stuff, and that's it.
Yeah. But yeah, again, that's the thing, is if you want help, you can obviously read the manual, but you're not forced to have to do a tutorial. I personally think it's nice if a game gives you some kind of tutorial on how to play things.
Yeah, teach you about the mechanics, but don't be too heavy-handed with it.
But like, a game obviously I play quite a lot of at the moment is Dead by Daylight. For years, no tutorial on there whatsoever. They finally added one now.
Have they?
Yeah. It used to be like there's a little bit of text that'll tell you the basic premise of what your objectives are as a survivor and a killer, but it didn't tell you the controls and stuff like that. You had to just load into a multiplayer match with other people who possibly know how to play the game and figure it out before you die.
Well, isn't that the same with the other one, Friday the 13th? They don't have a tutorial in that one, do they? You should just get in and figure it out.
No, I think there might have been a quick tutorial, but not very extensive. But it's like, you don't have to play this tutorial, but you can. But I think there was still the option there, is they did have a tutorial kind of thing to tell you, oh, these are Jason's abilities. Oh, as a survivor, you got to do this kind of stuff.
I don't remember a tutorial on there, so maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
I don't know, it might have just been the same as Dead by Daylight, just the little text. This is basically what you must do. I'm not going to tell you any of the controls. Load into a match and figure it out yourself.
I think they have like tips on the loading screens, but that's about all I can remember.
Yeah.
And obviously if you find a map or whatever, then you can look at what parts you need for different escape routes and everything.
Amiga 500, coming soon.
Amiga 500 Mini, coming soon. Also in the news is FIFA 22, as it now lets you turn off player celebrations, so you no longer have to sit through other people's celebrations when they score goals and be trolled. People have requested that for a long time because obviously everyone would just spam it just to annoy the other player, so it's finally been added. Any thoughts?
No, I just have the question on, like, it's you can turn off other players' celebrations, but while the other person that doesn't say you're not able to do celebrations. So this other person, it goes, I want to do this celebration. Like, what is the person who just got scored and what are they doing? Are they still able to play the match while the other person is looking at an animation? Because that ain't fair. Or are they just stuck on like a pause screen while this person's watching an animation? Because again, that's not great. It's probably fair, but then I can just still troll them by just I can still spam the celebration and troll them anyway. They're just not watching the celebration, they're having to stare at a screen that's doing nothing. Like, how does this system actually work? Is it that if you like tick it in the menu, the other person is just not allowed to do goal celebrations?
Well, it says, in the new celebration camera focus setting, you can switch on or off the ability to watch the opponent celebrate, and instead, you can focus on your own team's reaction. So you'll be looking at your own team rather than theirs during the celebration.
But they can still spam the celebration.
You can do it once per goal. You don't have to watch the other team gloating about their goals. You can look at your own team looking sad, probably.
Yay. That's more fun. Do I want to look at this guy do a celebration, or do I want to just look at my people going, you messed up, man. Shouldn't let that goal happen.
I don't play FIFA anyway, so...
Me neither. I have quite a few FIFAs, but I haven't had to pay anything for them. EA just gave me them.
That's nice of them.
Like, oh, here. Even like the things like... I've got one that says FIFA 22. Was it 21 I've got?
Probably 21.
I would have thought like FIFA 22, surely that comes out like at the end of the year, doesn't it? But yeah, I've literally got like the newest one for free.
FIFA 22 comes out in October the 1st. The only FIFAs I've got are like old ones, because I used to play FIFA a long time ago, but I don't anymore. I think the last one I got was 2012. I think I stopped playing after that. But in other news, Stardew Valley is coming to Xbox Game Pass. Doesn't have a current release date at the moment, but it is likely to be this fall. Is that a game you're at all interested in?
Well, I mean, it is on my Steam wishlist, and I constantly get emails from Steam like, "Oh, this is on sale, it's on your wishlist." But I don't know that I'd ever actually probably get around to even playing it. So yeah, I could pick it up on obviously Game Pass if I purchased the Game Pass, but I would probably never actually get around to playing it.
Well, to my understanding, Stardew Valley is a very time-consuming game anyway, and it's essentially a 2D farm type thing, right?
Yeah, you got a farm. I think there's a village. You can go fishing.
Yeah, it's not really my cup of tea.
It's just kind of a chill game. Like I'd say, if you like if you're a fan of like Animal Crossing or something, Stardew Valley is very in vain with that. Except obviously you don't have the anthropomorphic animals; it's just actual other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just want a game to chill. It's a decent game to chill too.
Not really my cup of tea though. But that was announced during the Xbox Showcase, and other games that were also announced at the Xbox Showcase were Aeon Drive, Anvil, Origami 2, Artful Escape, Button City, Evil Genius 2, Ink Lunati, Labrat, Library of Runa, Lightyear Frontier, Loot River, Mad Streets, Ollie Ollie World, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, Planet of Lana, Paparazzi, RPG Time, Sable, Sam and Max, She Dreams Elsewhere, Solid State, Soup Pot, Space Lines from the Far Out, The Big Con, The Veil Shadow of the Crown, and finally, The Wandering Village. All of those games are either on Xbox Game Pass at the moment or soon to be on the Xbox Game Pass. Some of them said that they was going to be there later on that day. Other ones didn't really say anything, so I'm assuming they're going to be coming soon.
I think that Paparazzi game, I think would be. I know someone who would love that game. Just taking pictures of puppers. That'd be like their dream job. Obviously, playing a game.
Also in the news is Insurgency Sandstorm, as it's finally been given a console release date. It's set to release on PS4 and Xbox One on September the 29th, 2021. Have you heard about this game? Is it something you're interested in?
I've not heard of it now. But, I mean, kind of. I mean, obviously I get a kind of a Call of Duty vibe from it. Or maybe Rainbow Six Siege kind of vibe. But I think you're less like SWAT team. I think it's more... Like, it looks like you are maybe in the Middle East or something, which would make sense because it's called Sandstorm, but yeah. So I suspect it's maybe something similar to Rainbow Six Siege, but in the Middle East. Maybe just defuse bombs, get safe hostages, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a first-person multiplayer tactical team-based shooter. So yes, I think it is. I think it might be set in Afghanistan. I'm not 100% sure, but
I don't know that they would flat out specify this is where the real world country we are in. I think it's probably a safer option to base it on a country rather than literally say, okay, so we're going to this country and fighting the natives who are the bad guys.
Yeah, it just says it's conflict in the Middle East. There was a game that was set in Afghanistan though, that was a first-person shooter, but I can't remember what the title of that one was, because I know that hit controversy months ago. Might have been last year. I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah.
But also in the news is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, as it is finally in the final stages of development, and it's in the works for Nintendo Switch, and is set to arrive early 2022. Is this something you're interested in?
Well, to be fair, I mean, I think Xenoblade is another JRPG, which aren't really my thing. I mean, I have got Final Fantasy, and I have played Final Fantasy XIV, which are obviously also JRPGs. So I suspect it'd be similar to that, but yeah, not really my thing. I mean, it's a nice art style.
But you're not going to give it a try?
Well, it's the Switch in it.
Yes.
So yeah, probably not.
I can't, because I don't have a Switch.
Yeah, exactly. If it was on other platforms, then yeah, maybe I could have given it a shot, but if obviously it's Nintendo exclusive, my hands are kind of tied.
It might be a timed exclusive though, we're not sure yet. But also in the news is Halo Infinite. While it's supposed to be coming this year, it still has no release date, and when asked if it was still coming this year, Phil Spencer said, yeah, absolutely, but we're still finalising the release timing. For us, we kind of know the range. We're in the 3 to 4 week range. We don't have the exact day. With some other game timing that we're trying to look at, we'll have a better clarity over the summer. But it isn't a month thing. This is just down to a few weeks, and so instead of picking the date and having to move it by a week, which at this point would feel like a fail, we don't want to do that. Let's just wait until we're really solid on what the date is.
So, in short, he has no clue when Halo Infinite's going to come out.
Well, they have a rough idea. It's 3 to 4 week basis is what they're looking at. But I'm assuming it's 3 to 4 weeks between 2 months. Otherwise, I don't know why they can't just specify a specific month rather than a date.
Yeah, exactly. Just give me like a ballpark figure. I don't need the exact day, the exact time it's going to be dropped. Just give me okay, is it going to be in this quarter? Is it going to be next quarter? Is it going to be this month, next month? Just something.
Yeah, but I suppose since he said they're looking at other game releases, I'm guessing he's trying to make sure it doesn't clash with anything else because they want to make sure that they have the best chance for it to succeed, obviously, since it's the first return to the franchise in a long time.
Okay, I'll tell you how you don't, but they don't really need to go, oh, I'll look at other releases, make sure we don't release it at the same time. No, you release it at the same time, and you get the sales rather than the other company, because you already have a lot of fans who want that Halo Infinite.
Yeah, but there might be another game that a lot of the same fans are looking forward to, so they don't want people to buy the other game and then not get the new Halo because they've got too much time spending too much time with the other one.
I mean, then you want to go for then obviously you release Halo before that other game. You get their sale. What's it matter if the person can afford to get both? Yeah, but why would you wait until they've already spent their money on the other game?
Well, no one said that. They're just looking at when other games are releasing. They might be releasing it before a certain game. They might be releasing after. We don't know. We don't know what games they're even looking at because we don't know what months they're looking at.
Dunno.
I would assume it's maybe September. There's a lot of games coming out in that time. Is it something you would be interested in?
I don't know. I've tried playing Halo. I got like the entire collection. I got the Master Chief collection, and I think another Halo game for free when I had Game Pass. I tried playing it. I don't know. I don't find Halo that engrossing. I don't understand what the obsession with. Oh, it's an amazing storyline. Like, really? But to be fair, I've only played like a bit of the first one. Does it get better as the series goes on? Because while the first one's like, oh, it's this groundbreaking thing. It's amazing. It's like it's kind of mediocre compared to other games I've played. I have played games that have a much better story. Like, literally the story I got was, I'm on spaceship under attack. You must get off spaceship. You're now on planet.
Now that sounds like Mass Effect.
No, Mass Effect definitely has more story.
Well, yeah, but I do remember, I think it's the second one, you start the game being attacked.
Oh yeah, that's a common thing. It's space games. They always start in the middle of the battle. Start off strong in the middle of battle, rather than obviously starting off quiet where normal stories obviously normally start. You want to start off your game or films really start off in the action and then obviously continue from there. But the problem is, I don't care about any of the other people. My objective is, right, I gotta find survivors and save them and stuff. It's just like, but I don't have an emotional connection to soldier number 3.
Well, that's just like in Call of Duty World War II. You have random soldiers in each level you can save, or just let them die if you want, but it's an optional objective. You can pull people out of rubble and stuff.
Yeah.
Don't know the names, but there they are.
But like with Mass Effect, you play through the first mission. You have some of the characters you're with. Like sometimes it'll start before you're actually in a mission. Like I believe on the first Mass Effect, I think you start off in the actual mission, and you get to know the characters as you progress through. So you actually have conversations with these people, get to know them. So when later in that same mission, you've got a choice of obviously. Well, you see this character gets killed off, or you have a choice on obviously where to go on, and depends on your choice, depends on who dies. I already know that I know this person. I care if they live or die. The same as I think with Andromeda, I believe. Well, yes, obviously it got shit on, but the story I think started. You started off. You're waking up out of like cryostasis, and you meet your team. Just obviously the conversation stuff with each of the people, and then you get to the point where you play through the first mission. Everything shit hits the fan, and this guy you have met. Oh, he just got murdered in front of you, and then obviously at the end, obviously somebody else obviously dies. These people, I've seen their personality, I've seen character from this person, but on Halo it's literally like, hi Master Chief. That's like. And then I have to just walk past them because they don't have a conversation with you. Master Chief doesn't talk. It's just a case of there's enemies in this sector you get from like on the comms. But that guy's not even one of the people you save who's on the comms. It's a case of right. So you manage to get off. You're off the ship. Now you got to find and save survivors.
Well, I think the whole point in the random survivors bit is rather than giving you a chance to get attached to the people, it's more to immerse you in the war zone.
I don't know. I mean, I don't find like, yeah, on the level of it, yeah. Look, I get to shoot and beat up these aliens, but that doesn't tell me this is a good story because I can beat up aliens.
Well, no, that's gameplay. That's not story.
Yeah, a story makes me give a monkeys about the characters, about what actually happens. But currently, I don't. Like example, like another mission, you've got like a squad with you, and nameless squad member number 9 has died. It's like, I don't care. He happened to die in that firefight with the aliens. It's like, but do I care though? The aliens are all dead. I can still continue my mission, and this guy who somehow managed to die despite us dominating the aliens. This guy has somehow managed to die. What, he got hit by like a stray laser and died. Like, okay, I'll just move on. I don't care.
Well, again, I don't think it's supposed to be getting emotional attachment from you. It's more to immerse you in the war zone itself, that anything can happen to the people around you, that it's not a safe area, that shit's hitting the fan, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but normally the concept of anything happens to people around you is you've got to know this person, and then they die in a firefight, but you've already got to know this person. Let me get to know the people before they die. Let me feel connected to my character. But I guess I am connected to my character because, as far as I'm aware, Master Chief is an emotionless robot. He's not literally a robot. He's a guy in a suit. But as far as I'm aware, he doesn't have emotion. How do I relate to this character who feels nothing?
Well, he probably does feel stuff, he just doesn't express it. But it's like, as I mentioned with World War II, in COD, you've got soldiers that don't really have names, that are getting crushed by things or screaming for help, and you can go save them if you want to. You don't have any attachment to them, but it's to show that you're in a war zone. Crazy shit's happening. It's to immerse you in the world.
That's still better, because that person is clearly in distress. It's not a case of that you walk past them and go, "Hi, Master Chief," and then 5 minutes later, that guy who said hi to you in like the most emotionless way, oh, he's now a corpse. He's not. He doesn't like get shot and you can hear that he's in agony. It's just a case of he's there 1 minute, he's not now.
Well, no one said it was perfect, but sometimes in Call of Duty they don't scream out anyway. They're just kind of there. But I do remember when I played through it, there was a couple of times where I was in the heat of battle, and then in the background I just hear someone screaming for help. And I just followed the voice, and then I found someone underneath rubble or something, and then I pulled them out. But they don't have a name.
No, but they have a personality. They have emotion.
Oh yeah, but as I said, no one said Halo was perfect. All games have their flaws.
Yeah, but everyone says that obviously that Halo's supposed to be a masterpiece, but I swear...
Well, it might have been back then. Things weren't as advanced back then.
I don't know. I'm sure back then there were still games that had characters who could display some semblance of emotion.
It was few and far between though, because back then the voice acting was still pretty much done in a booth and that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas these days it's not.
Where do you think it's done?
It's more than just that. They also wear mocap suits and get more involved with the characters, whereas obviously before it was just done on the computer. They didn't have mocap suits for that kind of stuff.
Well, yes.
They weren't doing the facial animations and all that kind of stuff properly. It wasn't as advanced as it is now.
Oh no, I'm not talking about like facial animations, but yeah, if I can tell from the tone of your voice, this person in distress, maybe I'm more likely to care when I find their corpse. But like, I don't even like in the middle of battle, and then you're like, I'm sure I started off with five people. Where's the other guy? Because admittedly, the AI not the best anyway. Because sometimes you'll find them just casually stuck behind a rock. But no, you've actually got to search around the camp to see if it's like where is this guy? Oh, there he is. He's on the floor.
Well, emotionless voice acting is really the fault of the director anyway.
But then like even later Halo games, I played through 3, and I couldn't tell you that I really cared about any single character in the entire storyline. It was literally just load level, shoot things. Load another level, shoot things. I don't understand the obsession with this. It's like it being like a amazing, epic storyline. It's like, where's the storyline?
Well, it might have been a more impressive storyline back then.
No, this was when... No, my point being, this is, like, the game I played, like, was new at the time. People are, like, jumping on... Like, they love Bungie because they make, like, these amazing stories in the Halo games, and I'm like, you have really low standards, dude.
Isn't Bungie the one that made Destiny as well?
Yeah. After splitting from Microsoft, they went on to make Destiny because they couldn't use the Halo license anymore because it's owned by Microsoft. So then they, I think, worked with Activision to make Destiny, which was known for having a poop story.
Yeah.
But these people who obviously made this epic story in Halo, so without Microsoft's money, they somehow can't write a story because they have Activision's money?
Well, I've never played a Halo game, personally, because, I've never owned an Xbox, and I've never really bothered with trying to use Xbox Game Pass or anything, so I've not played them on PC or anything. But my experience with Bungie is obviously just Destiny, and that's kind of weak story, average gameplay. Didn't really put a lot of time in it.
Yeah, I definitely think Destiny's storylines are definitely better than Halo. The characters at least have personality. I can say I don't, particularly care about a lot of the characters. Like, a lot of people weren't very happy when a certain character, he got killed off. It's like, well, I don't really care. Yeah, I mean, he was alright, but he wasn't like this emotionless husk. He was there to be the comedic relief. But, I mean, I didn't find him particularly funny. And now he's dead.
Well, comedy's subjective anyway.
Yes, but should I not have felt some kind of kinship with this guy I have done missions with? Now he's dead, and the entire expansion is you must avenge him. I'm not emotionally invested.
Well, that's kind of the same with The Last of Us 2 for me.
Yeah.
A certain character dies, didn't really care about him, but there's the emotional drive of the story is let's get revenge. And I'm like, don't really care though. So that bit of the story wasn't really it for me.
I'm not a fan of what obviously happened in Last of Us 2, because, I mean, granted, they could have just not brought out Last of Us 2, because, the point of the game is this whole story was pointless. That is literally the message of the story, is don't do what this story did. Do not avenge people, because you'll lose everything. It's like, okay, well, I could have just not played the game, and then I've not done the revenge story, so sure, I've done your message, right? I've not avenged his death.
Well, it's kind of a double-barrel revenge story, really, because both of them want revenge, so...
Yeah, and one of them does get, obviously, revenge. The problem being is, what happened, I don't know about, at the end of Last of Us 1, oh yeah, maybe you shouldn't murder, let's say you shouldn't kill doctors, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you only have to kill one.
Yeah, which just so happens to be the one that is related to...
Yeah, he was just trying to do his job.
Of murdering a little girl.
Sacrifice the few to save the many.
Yes, but even if you read his research, I think it's from the second game, the research itself specifies there is another option. So the guy who's going to murder this girl knows there is a better option and is still going to go through with it.
Because maybe that way is more viable.
I don't know. I would personally, I would choose the one that wouldn't kill the girl first.
Well, I've not read his research, so I don't know what this other option is.
I think it was just to take some of her bone marrow. She'll still be alive. She and was it bone marrow? I don't know. It was something that basically her body would reproduce anyway. But yeah, they could take that and examine. Okay, why is this girl resistant to the fungus? Rather than let's take out her brain and figure it out. Because I mean, obviously, once you've killed her and taken the brain, you have a limited time to be able to figure anything out because you ain't going to start that thing up again. But I would go with the less lethal option first. When that fails, then you can maybe kill the little girl. But I don't think what Joel did was actually wrong. Lying to her about it, maybe, because she wouldn't understand why he did it. But what he did was not wrong.
Well, that's your opinion.
I mean, yes, obviously she wanted to do it. As a child, she's like, oh yeah, I wanna help save everyone. I mean, she wasn't told that it would mean she'd die. She just wanted to save people.
Yeah, but even if she was told that, she wouldn't care. That's the point. That's why I lied to her, because she would just want to go back anyway.
I mean, she can, but it's not on there.
Exactly. So then she would hate him. So it would be pointless. to tell the truth.
But she'd grow up she would grow up eventually.
Well, second game kind of proved otherwise, but, you know.
Yeah, because it had been kept from her for so long that it had happened and it spun out of control. You tell her, and then as she grows up, she'll understand why he did what he did. Rather than lying to her for years, and then going, oh yeah, so yeah, I lied to you. Of course she's going to take that worse. But like I said, I mean, they already retconned that the Doctor himself had a non-lethal method of doing it. But then also wanted to retcon the fact that this Doctor isn't actually a bad guy. It's like, he's not a bad guy, but he's choosing to kill a little girl than not kill her. I understand from Abby's perspective, but the guy was a dick.
Not in her eyes.
Yeah, he wasn't a dick to Abby, but what kind of person goes, right, I could kill this little girl, or I could do something that won't kill her. I'll kill her. Probably won't work. I probably won't get nothing from killing her, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Well, I don't think that research document was a thing when the original decision for the first game was made.
No, but he also didn't have a family when the original decision was made.
True.
He's retconned as to being, oh, he was actually a nice guy. Joel shouldn't have killed him.
In the first game, he's just a nameless doctor.
Exactly.
He was just doing his job. But obviously in the second game, they've expanded him and developed him into someone else that has a personality. And then obviously created a daughter from it. But anyway, it is what it is. In other news, though, we have Eastwood, which is coming in September. After 2 years of development, Pixpill are releasing their new retro RPG on September the 16th, 2021. Whilst obviously taking huge inspiration from old JRPGs, it's also pulling in culture and architecture from other parts of Asia, including Hong Kong, Shanghai, South Korea, and India. The story also focuses on a miner and a mysteriously powerful little girl as they embark on a cross-country train journey in a tainted, toxic landscape. The action gameplay focuses on switching weapons to suit your enemy and switching between characters to overcome environmental puzzles. It's roughly about 30 hours long, depending on how you play. You can find Eastwood on its official website as well as Steam, where it's about $25, 10% off for pre-orders. It's also going to be on Nintendo Switch. Any thoughts?
It's very much like Last of Us. Except obviously Joel's not a miner, but it's a grown dude and a girl who has some kind of power, and they travel across country in a tainted, toxic landscape. They both do that. Obviously, this one's a pixel art game, rather than a third-person shooter.
It obviously also draws inspiration from The Legend of Zelda as well.
Oh yeah. I'm saying that the setting for the stories of it, that the setup is very similar, but obviously the gameplay, yes, is going to be more reminiscent of JRPGs and Zelda. It's not a conventional JRPG, but is obviously an RPG that is Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, technically the Soulsborne games are RPGs that are Japanese, but they're not classed as JRPGs, so...
Yeah, technically Pokemon's a JRPG.
Sure.
It is.
Don't know why, but sure.
No. That's because, I mean, you kind of can improve your stats and stuff of your Pokemon, like you can members of your party in a JRPG. It's just the difference is obviously the members of your party are different, like, creatures rather than other people.
But Eastwood was announced at this year's Indie World that was obviously hosted by Nintendo, among a bunch of other games. And those games were Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, Axiom Verge 2, Toem, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, Metal Slug Tactics, Tetris Effect Connected, Far Changing Tides, Loop Hero, Boyfriend Dungeon, Necro Barista Final Pour, Islanders Console Edition, Garden Story, Slime Rancher Portable Edition, Astroneer, Curious Expedition 2, 100 Days Winemaking Simulator, Gang Beasts, and finally, Lumberjack. Do any of those interest you?
Well, I mean, I could possibly play Gang Beasts with my friend who has a Switch. Obviously, that's not exactly a new title. The Necrobarista is kind of curious, because I don't normally think about, you don't really have coffee and death together.
Yeah.
But Boyfriend Dungeon sounds curious.
Really?
Because again, I don't, well, do you get your boyfriends in the dungeon?
I don't have boyfriends, so...
No, it's just the fact, Boyfriend Dungeon, again, these words don't really go together. Normally, like, So it's a dating simulator, but also a dungeon crawler.
Yes, they're mixing two different genres together.
Yeah, two odd things you don't normally see, obviously mixed together. And I'm curious about Lumberjack. I'm a bear with an axe. Come on, man. You got to see what that's all about.
I mean, that's just overpowered. But then again, how can a bear hold it?
Because it's a cartoon.
Yeah, but it don't have opposable thumbs, and you need those.
I know, I disagree that opposable thumbs are that necessary.
It was a pivotal point in evolution that allows you to grip stuff. What do you mean?
I mean, obviously, you can grip things without having the thumb.
Yeah, but not as effective.
Yeah, you can't effectively hold it, but you can still hold it.
You won't be able to hold it with a paw, which is obviously what bears have.
Obviously, an actual bear would be able to... It might be able to hold it with the paw, but if it attempted to swing it, the axe would probably fly out his hand.
I think a bear can hold it in its mouth, and that's really about it. But even then, its mouth is a weapon itself.
Yeah, but how many bears do you know that just cut down trees with their mouth?
They don't. They scratch their ass on it. It is worth noting, of course, that all these games are coming to Nintendo Switch, since they were obviously at Nintendo's Indie World event. But that does it for this week's episode. If you have any thoughts about the topics we discussed this week, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.